This is Big Business with Sarah. This podcast guides you to finding what you desire most in life and business, because running a business is very much about your personal development. In this podcast, I'm sharing what my clients ask me and how I help them. Thanks for joining. Welcome back to Big Business with Sarah. I'm so happy you're here, fresh and new out of America. I just went on a workation for 2.5 weeks in the US, New York, upstate New York, upstate New York and New York City again. So I used this holiday as an opportunity to first start writing my book. And it's my first book, and I'm calling it a first book because not everything is going to be able to be in that book. So it has to be the first because it's going to be more. I'm a little jet lagged, and I'm already noticing that I'm speaking a little bit slower. But this is it. So today is Wednesday when I'm recording this. I arrived on Tuesday, yesterday. And I had a horrible night. So we went to bed at 9 p.m. and then I woke up at 1 a.m. And I felt like I could never sleep again ever in my life. And then I think I dozed off at 5 a.m. and I woke up at 8. So there you have my rhythm. And the thing that I've read, obviously, when I was awake at night, I, of course, Googled everything about the jet lag. And it's not so much about being sleep deprived, but more about, having your rhythm messed up with. So, I learned a lot. And actually today I wanted to record a podcast episode on Q2 and how everything is going. And honestly, I am not going to be able to give you that today. It's coming next week. And then the week after, I think I'm going to record a podcast episode about how my workation was, how I prepared for it, how you can also prepare for it too. So also the Q2 episode is also going to be about how you can do that. But actually for today, I wanted to do something else because, the interesting thing is that, what I always like about holidays or vacations or whatever is that you look at things from a different perspective. And one of the things that I saw again, because now when I'm recording this, it's 5th of July, and then tomorrow it's going to be 6th when it's going to be published. And, what I saw last week was there was this kind of TikTok voiceover, you have 6 months left, or there's half year has already gone. And I also created a story about that, an Instagram story. I was not very online, actually. In my personal Instagram account, I was very online, but in my business, Sarah Big Business account, a little less. And, one of the stories that I did actually publish was about this, that I'm so annoyed by all those people who are saying, oh, what are your plans for the rest of the year? Watch out, the year is almost going to end. And I'm like, yeah, but no, it's not. You have your entire life ahead of you. And, seriously, if you're not in this for the long game, then it's going to be very difficult the rest of the year. So, and it's also going to be very difficult working with the people that are posting about that, because apparently they expect of you that you already met all your goals. So, I was a little annoyed by that, actually. And I was also thinking, why am I so annoyed by that? Well, that's because my method is so very much about that long term. And it's very much about seeing what could happen for you. And, my main target audience is people that are experienced. You don't have to really necessarily be experienced entrepreneurs, but at least have 10 years, 15 years of work experience behind them, so they understand how the world works and also what works for them. Because, that's just a group that I'm most comfortable with and that I can really help. And as a result, most of the people that I work with are 35 plus, and I think until 60, so, or maybe even older. I'm not really sure. At some point, you just don't ask. And I don't know why I find that so interesting, but I really do believe that you decide, the older you get, the more interesting life becomes, and also the more interesting business becomes. So today is a very exciting episode. I'm so sorry for this big intro, but apparently I need it, and you need it too, because else I wouldn't share it with you. I'm going to share with you how you can use this summer. And you've already heard 2 episodes ago, the first episode of Your Summer Resets, which you actually got free access to. And now you have the opportunity to buy for only $24.97. I'm not 100% sure, but a little less than 25 euros. And you can get it. I will put it in the show notes. And this is a little bit in line with that. This is another episode. This is not about Your Summer Reset at all, but it is very much about why summer can be such an interesting time to make big plans. Because, those end of year's lists, and everybody is tired. Everybody is tired of doing, all that work in December. And, you have to have your finances in order, you have to have your goals in order and everything. And I love that, right? So one of my first courses was actually a goal setting course, and it was for the Black Friday, which is obviously at the end of the year. But actually I wanted to give you a new perspective on how you can look at your summer, because most of the time people are very much looking forward to summer. It's a time to literally reap the fruits of your labor. And but maybe it's also nice to plant a few seeds. Okay, there we are. To plant a few seeds for your future. And why am I saying that? Because everybody is so rested in the summer, right? It's also in business mainly, and also in the news and everywhere, actually. It's a little bit easier because people are taking long vacations off. I just had my long vacation. The interesting thing that I notice also with my clients is that people have the feeling, I have to finish this before I'm going on holiday. No, you don't. You don't have to, because at the end of your holiday, there will still be the opportunity to work on that. And but this is also something that you see at the end of the year, that everything has to be finished before Christmas. Whilst actually, no, it doesn't have to be. But that's why I believe that actually this is a really good time to look at your bigger plans, because you're being less distracted by daily mails and everything, and really an opportunity to focus. And so I'm sharing with you today 3 tips on how you can do that for yourself. And how can you work on your larger goals? Grab a nice drink, find a comfy spot, and let's dive in. So as solopreneurs or freelancers, we often find ourselves caught up in the day-to-day tasks of running our business. And you leave very little time to focus on the bigger picture. And it's really a season that naturally lends itself into reflection, rejuvenation, and strategic planning. And so one of the things that I always enjoy, and I had it a little bit less here in the US, is that when I'm, for instance, lying on the beach, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do this different and this and this and this and this and this. But I had this a little bit less these few weeks. But the first tip I want to give you is to embrace the power of reflection. So the first tip is really summer provides the ideal environment to step back and evaluate your business progress thus far. You don't have to do that, so much. You can actually, grab pen and paper, everything. You can also just take a moment to think about this, but you can take some time to review your accomplishments. That's the first one. I'm going to leave a little pause here because we always tend to forget our accomplishments. What have you accomplished so far? What is something that you have done that you hadn't done before? Maybe, last year you couldn't have imagined that you're here. I'm thinking of course, when I'm recording my podcast, you know that I'm always thinking about my clients. And I'm thinking about them right now, and I'm so proud of all they've accomplished. But review them. What have you done? Have you decided to switch your entire business? Have you decided to open up a new program? Have you decided to do everything differently? Review them. Write them down. Really put your thoughts on paper, actually. I mean, you can think about it, but it's actually much better to put them on paper as well. Think about the challenges that you faced. Maybe there was a little financial challenge that you have a plan for now that you're going to overcome. How did you respond to that? Look back at that. What are the lessons that you've learned over the past few months? Maybe you have worked with a client who, I see this so often, that people are working with horrible clients. Horrible, I mean, not so much horrible clients, but at least they're treating, the people that they work with very, very poorly. And this happens a lot. And just so you know that you're not the only one, right? So what are the lessons that you've learned? And reflect on your strengths. What can you leverage more? What do you want to grow into? You can also focus on your weaknesses, but I'm not very much a fan of that because obviously those are your weaknesses. You want to focus on your strength in your business. And maybe you can find, maybe you really don't like to do your bookkeeping. Maybe it's time to get a bookkeeper. So consider how your long-term aspirations align with your current trajectory and identify any necessary adjustments. So by understanding where you are today, you can pave the way for where you want to be tomorrow. And so I'm going to continue to tip 2 on how to do that. So the second tip revolves around setting clear and inspiring goals. So first we looked back, and now I want to invite you to use the summer season as an opportunity to define your long-term vision for your business. What impact do you want to make on the world, in your sector, in your business? What legacy do you want to leave behind? And once you have a clear vision, break it down into achievable milestones and measurable goals for the next year or beyond. And so make sure your goals are very specific, are time-bound, and are also aligned with your values and passions. And I've just started writing my book. Let's just frame it that way. And the book is very much about how to run your business on your terms, right? And this sounds, that's easy. Yeah, but it's actually not. For most people, it's not. Because I see so many people kind of copying a lifestyle of someone else. Maybe that other person doesn't even want that either. But just really, try not to copy anyone else, but just really look inside of you. What do you want? What are your values? What are your passions? And obviously everything, how to do that is all going to be in the book. So I'm not going to talk too much about that because obviously I want you to read it. But you can already really try and practice with this. What is it that I really want? Do I actually want to have that designer bag? Why do I want to have it? Do I actually really want to go on holiday? Do I actually want to do this or that? Those are all very valid questions. Sorry, I wanted to say valuable questions. Maybe they're also valuable. But every day, or at least this summer a few times, look at, what do I actually want? And is everything that I'm doing, are my goals actually very much up to, my values and what I want? So with those goals, you will get a roadmap to guide your actions and keep you motivated throughout the journey. So I've also created a goal-setting podcast episode. Whilst I'm saying this, I'm actually going to look it up which episode it is, and then I'm going to continue to step 3 or tip 3 that I have for you is to develop a strategic action plan. Let me just take a moment to look at these goals. Why should I rush myself? I think it was a little bit at the end of the year, so it must have been, yes. So it's episode number 48. and it's called Looking Back and Setting Your 2023 Goals. And it's a really good episode. I did receive actually so many great tips, great tips, great feedback on that. So if you want to really work on step 2, then have another listen on that in that episode 48. I will also put it in the show notes so you don't have to look for it. So tip 3 is to develop a strategic action plan. Jet lag's kicking in again. So once you have your goals in place, right? So you've used the episode 48. It is time to determine the actionable steps that you need to actually bring them to life. So break down your goals into smaller, manageable tasks and prioritize them based on their impact and feasibility. So, for instance, one way on how to prioritize is to use the Eisenhower matrix or Covey matrix. It's obviously the same, and it says, urgent, not urgent, important, not important. That's a way how to do it. But make it easy for yourself, right? There's absolutely no reason to make it difficult for yourself. And if you want to, this summer is also a great moment to seeking support from mentors, industry experts, coaches like myself, or fellow solopreneurs who can really provide guidance and accountability. And I really want you to remember that Rome wasn't built in a day. So really be realistic with your expectations and also allow yourself the time and space to execute your plan effectively. Because, I really think that building and maintaining a business is very much about the long term, right? I am in this for the long game, and I also feel that. And at the beginning, I didn't feel that too much. I almost wanted to quit after 6 weeks. I also recorded an episode about that. But it's very much about creating that plan. And what the thing is, you can always create a plan, and then parts of it will actually happen and other parts won't. So, and that's fine, right? As long as you have a plan. I think that's always very, very much a very good idea. You can't plan everything in your life, but you can be very, very prepared. So that brings us to the end of this part of the episode. And now we are on to the next. And now it's time for one of your questions. So one of the people that I've spoken to recently is someone that she found me actually on LinkedIn, and she just started her own business, and I suggested a podcast episode to her. I'm not sure. I think it was the episode of a few weeks ago. And then actually she asked me the question on how to find her ideal client. Whilst I'm saying this, I am looking at which episode it might have been. Yes, I think it was maybe episode 69, how to grow your client base. And then she actually asked me something very interesting. She asked me, Sarah, how do I decide who is my ideal client? I was like, okay, yeah, let me look. That's what I thought. I'm going to create a podcast episode about that. Surprise, surprise, I didn't. I mean, it's weaved in everywhere, obviously. But I want to give you one big tip that has really helped me and also my clients is, I believe that, yes, you have to make something for your ideal client, but you have to start with you first, right? So I'm always saying this, repeating it again, if this is the only episode that you're listening to, is that always start with your products, your service, or what you want to do. Because you want your business on your terms, right? So you want something that you love to do and not something that your clients love to do. Yes, I mean, as well, but I think it starts with you first. And so that's where you start. And with that offer, in your mind, you can actually find your ideal clients. And you probably already have an idea on who you want to work with, right? You want to work with maybe only women. Maybe you want to work with very young people. Maybe you want to sell to children, I don't know, exactly what your business is, obviously, but you always have this kind of idea. And then I just really want to recommend you to start working with a certain group of people, a certain kind of people, and to really, really feel as well, is this the right client for me? Is this the right person for me? And this is difficult, right? Because sometimes it will happen that even though someone you believe is your ideal client actually isn't, and that you're going to have to be very honest to yourself and say, you know what, actually this is not my ideal client. So one of my clients for a couple of months ago, she told me that she was always very focused on people who didn't again, an ambulance, by the way, all the time. I just got back. There's always an ambulance actually passing by. But it's okay. I can just continue because, this podcast is still okay. But she told me that she was working with mainly people from the yoga industry. And she told me that people in that industry aren't very rich. So she was always offering discounts and everything. And she noticed that now she was going to another kind of ideal client, that she could really change her view and opinion of her clients, that, yeah, actually they do want to pay for the quality that she has to offer. But she just had to kind of make that switch in her mind, saying, okay, you know what, I can do this for the right amount of money, not just the minimum amount of money. So also change your story about that. So really, I would just suggest to start working with people that you already kind of know, thinking about, your inner circle first, and then work your way, further and further away actually from the people that you know. This is also how I started. Obviously, this is how all my clients start. Start with your existing clients or your existing network first, and then grow from there. This is also one of the reasons why I am very much not a fan of advertising, especially not in the beginning of your business, because you will never get warm leads, and they will actually not work with you because they don't know you, right? They want to know you first. And once again, I am part of a mastermind, and one of my fellow coachees. So I am following a mastermind from another coach, and one of my coachees, she just started her business. She started with Facebook advertisements or Google, I'm not really sure, but anyway, advertising, and it doesn't really pay off. No, of course, because first you have to build your foundation, you have to build your business, you have to build your community, people have to get to know you, and that is actually going to grow organically. So, of course, there are exceptions, but for 98% of the businesses, I would say start organically, start from where you are, and then grow from there. Now, I have a question for you. So a question for you, a little bit more on what we spoke about earlier today in the episode, is that I want to ask you is, what is your 3-year goal? Maybe you're thinking, whoa, what happened? Yes, that's what we're talking about right here. So that's the long term. Long term can also be 10 years, of course, but 3 years is always nice because, you can really dream. It gives you the opportunity to dream, because 1 year is very, very quickly, and 2 years is okay, and 3 years, you can actually really try and grow from there. So what is your idea of your life, of your business for the upcoming 3 years? So I want you to think about it today and the rest of the summer. You can purchase Your Summer Resets to give you some more inspiration on how to do that. So I gave you 3 tips, but there's so much more and so many nice examples, and also a very summary flair, actually. And I wish you the best of luck. I will also put down the 2 episodes which I spoke about in the show notes. And I wish you a very, very happy week. I hope you're doing much better than me. I really have a terrible jet lag. But you probably are. And I hope to see you again next week, where we will talk about or my Q2 and how you can do it, and or my workation. I'm not sure which one I'm going to publish first, but you will see. I wish you the very best day. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Big Business with Sarah. If you've enjoyed today's episode, leave a 5-star review and hit subscribe. If you're ready for your next step in business, you can find out how to work with me in the show notes. Do not forget to submit your coaching question for one of my next episodes. Have a happy day.